Hello, my name is Divine, and I would like to welcome you to Divine Solutions, where the soul has the solution. So I came on today to share my story of my spiritual journey and how tough it has been on me. To be honest, it almost cost me my life. So I guess the best place to start is in the beginning. For me, my spiritual journey has been based on relationships. Relationships have been the best teacher along this journey. So I was with this young lady. I had recently been divorced. We got together for approximately about a year. She actually was going through a divorce as well. We had a lot in common. We both had three kids. Her ex-husband's name was Sean, which is my name. And there was just so much similarities and synchronicities. And so we kind of supported each other through, our divorce and, with the breakup and the healing and everything, and just kind of were there for each other. But we also had a relationship as well. And in hindsight, I believe she was brought into my life, helped me uncover the things that needed to be healed. Um, so in my eyes, she was very narcissistic. It was a very pretty girl. She was always flirting, and it was like every time she would do it, it would trigger me. It would trigger something in me, and I think it was that she was doing something to me. But then you realize that it's not somebody's doing something to you; it's they're triggering what it is in you that needs to be healed. So we would have, great relationship, then it would be bad, and then, it was just a roller coaster ride, and just we're together, we're not together. Never was secure, but just so many spiritual things happened in that process, and it just taught me how to deal with pain versus hurt, and just how to keep moving on, and just like you would get hurt and you'd be broken down, and then you would, rebirth, you'd heal, and you come back even stronger. And I kept having to do it time and time again, and then finally we had the climax where I thought that she was doing something. I kind of walked in on her and she was with this other dude, and that was kind of it. And it was crazy because when I was coming to her house that night, it was like a full moon. And as I was coming up the top of the hill, I knew that something was, I just intuitively knew that I was going to see something that was going to change my life. And sure enough, I did. And so we broke up. And so I went home, it was kind of heartbreaking. And at the time, we were actually thinking of, I was going to move in with her at the time. And so I went home, it was kind of heartbreaking for I say about a couple weeks, and, kind of mourned and just went through the process. And then I went on a dating site. Actually, I wrote a letter down and I manifested everything that I wanted in a new woman. I've been doing my spiritual work. I'm a Reiki master, big into meditation, also a spiritual and life counselor. So at that time, I after I did that healing from the breakup, I felt like I was at my brightest, like my light was shining, like people would walk up to me, just like gravitate towards my light. And I felt great. I felt the best I ever felt. I had started my coaching program and people, was getting a couple clients, and I really felt like I fell into my purpose, what I was supposed to do. So a few weeks went by and I was on a Facebook dating site, and I met this young lady. And so we talked for a little while and turned out that she was very spiritual, and she grew up in a spiritual church. And that's what kind of intrigued me about her. And so we ended up going out on a dinner date, and the night just flew by. We were talking about all kinds of spirituality, it was just a great night. Like it was like a perfect match. And at the time, I was in the process of I had a cryotherapy wellness center. And at the time, I was trying to find an investor to reopen my business. It had been closed for about 2 years, and I was looking for an investor. And so I kind of told her my idea, and she's like, "You're not going to believe this." She's like, I've had a dream of opening a spa for over 2 years, but my sister, who she was going to open with, was very unreliable. So she said, she couldn't do it. Because she had a full-time job. She was actually a dentist, so she couldn't do it. So she's like, but yeah, I've always been looking to like invest in something or be a part of something like that, so we could talk about it. So it was like perfect. Like you couldn't have made it up if you tried. It was a perfect match. Like she had the same interests. We were spiritual. So we ended up talking to the wee hours of the night, almost to the restaurant closed, and so we left and went home. And so it turned out that she actually lived. She where she worked was actually she passed my house every day on her way to work, which was kind of ironic to me. So the next day, I gave her a call and I said, why don't you come over for dinner? on your way home from work. So she came over, had a great dinner. We were talking about spirituality, and I actually did a Reiki session on her, and she loved it. She kind of fell asleep, and it was a good time. And got late, so I told her, kind of stay the night. You could stay the night or whatever. So she did, and so kind of like slowly and surely, he kind of like never left, right? But at the time, I was lonely, so it didn't, I didn't think nothing of it. I was in Connecticut. I didn't really know anybody there. Was trying to get my business off the ground, and just, I didn't have a lot of people up there. So anyway, so time went on, and every day I would notice she brings a little more clothes, and she moved in and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is a good thing. That we're getting along. And then so maybe about every 2 months, it would be like, I don't know, like I think she was like bipolar. So I would see something in her was off, and I say, well, and I would kind of slightly see it, but I didn't know if she was going through stuff or whatever. So it finally came to the point I was like, listen, we were maybe about 2 or 3 months in. I was like, this is not gonna work. Like it was fun or whatever, but it's not gonna work. And so the day that I was gonna tell her to leave, she she gives me a call from her job, and she's like, she's a dentist too, and she says, "You're not gonna believe this." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Someone just died in my chair." And I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "I was doing a procedure on somebody, and they just died in my chair." And I'm like, "Who dies at a dentist's office, right?" So she sits there. You hear like the ambulance is coming. She's like, "I gotta go," like, whatever. And so I'm just like, "Oh my god!" So now, how am I gonna tell her she gotta leave on? She just killed somebody, right? So she comes home, and it was like nothing, like nothing happened. And I didn't want to, ask the question of what happened, or why do you, how you feeling. I just figured she would talk about it when she was ready, and so she really didn't really say too much. So in the morning, we're walking down to the garage. I'm walking her to her car, and she comes up to me, and she just starts bawling, crying. She's like, "I love you. I don't have anybody else. Please don't leave me. You're all I have right now." And so, what are you gonna say to that? I'm like, no, I was like, "I got you. Don't worry about it." And so that was like the first instance. And like, I mean, I don't know. In hindsight, I didn't think seriously of somebody just died, lost their life. Like, so, and I just took it like, well, it's just one of those weird things that happen in life. So a couple months go by, and I just started to know like a series of events, a series of it's like negative events, like this bad stuff keeps happening. So about 2 or 3 months later, she asks me about three. I was probably about 2 months later. She asked to. I had to take her car into the shop to get fixed, and so she asked to borrow my car. I had a brand new Volvo at the time. I only had it 2 or 3 months. And so she said she needed to use my car. So I was going to take her car to get it fixed. So we switched cars. And I said, listen, be careful, don't crash my car or anything like that. So she goes to work. Everything's fine. She calls me. She's leaving work. She's like, all right, I'm on my way home. I was like, all right, cool. Calls me back 5 minutes later. You're 911 in the background. Are you okay? Somebody came and smashed into the back of my car and smashed the car so bad the trunk went into the back seat. And she had two cars. She had a Prius and a BMW. If she had drove the previous Prius, she would have been dead for sure. So it was like a blessing in disguise. But here now my car is total. And I'm like, at first I was like mad, but I'm like, well, God, are you all right? You try to, but then it was just like, why does this stuff happen? Like, why is this happening to you? And I'm just like, okay, just chalked it up to it's just another accident. It's not a big deal. So another 2 months go by. And like it's like all during this period, it's like a roller coaster ride because it's like bipolar. Like one day we're good, and then one day we're not good. And just like, but it's just like it's teaching me something along the way. Like I'm just paying attention. Like in hindsight, I should have just left. But then if I left, I wouldn't have learned the lesson. So it's like a gift and a curse. So anyway, so we go down the road, and she had a house up in Binghamton that she was trying to sell, and she wanted me to come up there to help her move some of the stuff out of the house. So at the time, I had a French bulldog. This very expensive dog that I went and picked up in California, and we were going to bring the dogs with us up to her house. So we go up there, and she has all the stuff. She's packing it in the car and stuff. I'm like, do you really need all this stuff? So we kind of got into it about that. And so it was a very hot day. So put the dogs in the car, and we had the air conditioner on the whole time. So we're driving home, and we get back to the house, I open the trunk and my dog is dead, right? And I'm just like, I cannot believe this. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, my dog is dead. Like, and it was just like, I'm like, why is all this bad stuff happening? And I just couldn't figure it out. And so we go, I have to find a place to bury the dog, and I'm burying the dog. And as I'm burying the dog, like I felt like this racy energy. Like she was always like a very hyper dog. It was like she was running around spiritually around my head. Like I could hear, like I could physically feel her as I was like burying the dog. So it's like couldn't mourn about it, like because when we're coming out, there was people out in front of the building, so I couldn't like feel nothing. So I just had to kind of bottle it up. So we go a little further, and then she gets in another car accident, right? And it was just like every other week, it was just something else bad, just a series of bad events. So then I start to notice that like I'm starting to feel weak, like I'm not feeling like myself. I can't really put my finger on what it is, but I'm feeling like weak, like I'm being drained, right? And so something she told me that she grew up in a church called Eckankart. I don't know if most people probably never heard of it, but it was like one of those spiritual churches from 70s, 80s, that her father took her to when she was young. So I don't know what made me decide to look into it, but I looked into it and I started researching it and I just kind of poked around a little bit, but I didn't really go any further with it. So one night I wake up in the middle of the night and she has her three fingers like this, right? And she's tapping on my back. And I'm like, I'm just sleeping and I feel this tapping. And I'm like, what? Why? What are you? So I wake up and I look at her. I said, what are you doing? Why are you tapping on me like that? And she said, because, oh, I just have a nervous condition. Don't worry about it. But I noticed the area where she tapped in, it was like almost like a hole was in my back. Like I was leaking energy. Like I felt like I was being drained, like something was sucking on my energy. Right. And so I'm like, why do I feel like this? I couldn't, and for it, because I'm new to all this, so I didn't know what it was about. And so time went on, and I felt like I was starting to get more of the holes in me. Like wherever she would touch me, I would feel like almost like a static energy, like a almost like you rub the carpet in that static feeling, but it would feel like a static feeling, and then it would feel like the energy was being drained from me. But it was like the best way I can describe it is like a whole bunch of holes in your aura, and you're being sucked on from all these different holes in your aura. So it went on for a while, and I still couldn't figure out kind of what's going on. So one day I got on YouTube. I was like, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I found this YouTube video. It was called Eckenhart. It's a cult. Like it was like some kind of cult. So basically, what the guy said was that these people were going to pray to this guy, and he was telling them that if they chanted the word "hue," that they would go to this blue light, and the blue light was supposed to be God, and that you would go on these astral travels to beautiful worlds, and it was the greatest thing. But what it turned out to be was that this dude was using old Egyptian, um, like magic he just kind of turned it into his own thing to control people, but what they were really paying to was a demon or a deity or something evil. And it came out, they had like a class action lawsuit against these people and everything. But this is what she grew up in. And so then it kind of made sense. Like I'm like, okay, so this is why all this stuff was coming together. So he went on, and what signed it on the dotted line was when he said that what they do is they find a victim or someone and they start tapping on them. And as soon as he said that, when they tapped with the three fingers, I knew that it was true because that's exactly what she had did. And he's like, what they do is they create holes in your fluids, he said, in your aura, so that you become weak, right? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to make you so weak that your soul is so weak that this demon can enter you and possess your body like it's possessed hers, right? So it went on for a while, and I'm just like, I didn't know how to. I tried to talk to her about it, and the thing is that she is so docile. If you ever heard her talk, soft spoken, like you would never think that this person would ever do anything. And every time I ask her, she would say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything. I'm asleep. I don't know what's happening." And it'll always happen in the night. I would say from 3 to 5 in the morning. Like they say, it's like the witch hour. And so then it started getting like really bad. Like I was getting tired, drained, my energy, like I couldn't sleep. It was like I was in a fog. And it was what came to understand, it was like I was under a spell. Like I came to find out she was a witch or she was dealing with, negative forces. And so it went on for a while. And every time I would try to get away, felt like I was caught in a spider's web. I couldn't get away or try to find an apartment. Every way I tried to go, my road would be cut off and I was just stuck. And then I started getting like almost sick. Like I was sickly, like I didn't know why I was feeling like this. And I think she was putting something also in my food. That's what I think. Like she'd always say, "Oh, let me cook for you," no matter what she would want to. And I didn't think nothing about it. My grandfather would say, "Don't." He don't eat nobody's food, so he would always say, "Don't eat other people's food because they put stuff in it." He was like one, the Geechees from down south. So, but yeah, so it went on, and it started. I mean, it started getting really bad, and so we went. She tried to get me to do that huge meditation, and I remember we were sitting there in the bed, and she's like, "Focus on this blue light and just keep chanting Hugh, Hugh." And so I started to do it, and I was like going to a place, and I could see myself like in my meditative state going to this place. And I got to a certain place space, and my soul just screamed, "No." And I screamed, "No." And I just jumped out of the meditation. And I got up. I'm like, "I'm good. I don't want to know nothing about none of that stuff that you're doing. Like I'm not of that." And I started looking at her bookshelf, and she had all these books on black magic, and I never really like looked at it like that, but it was like spells and black magic and old ancient Egyptian text on like spirituality and stuff. Like that's part that intrigued me, but just but it was like the dark side. It wasn't of the light side of it. So we kept going down the road a little more, and it's like I was trying to get away, and we'd be fighting, and it was like we'd fight, and then we'd make up maybe a week later or whatever. So it was just always a roller coaster ride. So we opened the business. So now we were kind of entangled with that, and got that going, and that kind of took a little bit away from what really was going on at home. So we got that going, and then so it just kept progressively getting worse. I mean, every day I was feeling weaker, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. If I don't get out of here soon, I feel like I'm gonna die. And the thing is like, I try to tell my family, I try to tell everybody about it. Everybody thinks you crazy. They're like, "What is wrong with you? This is a polished professional. She's so nice. She's so sweet. Like, how could you say that you're crazy?" That's what everybody says. You're crazy. So it's like you got nobody to talk to about it. And like you're walking around, you don't know what to do. You can't get away. You don't have nobody who understands you. Even some of my spiritual friends who I talked to, they even thought I was a little crazy. So it goes on, kept going on down the road, and she 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 kept attacking me so bad I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would feel like the best way I can describe it is energetically whipped. Like somebody was whipping you with a whip, and I would have wounds on my body, but I would be so beaten and beaten down that in the morning I would wake up and I would feel like I'm dead, completely drained. I mean, completely drained. And that went on for some time. And so then finally I told her, we can't sleep in the same room together. So we would alternate, either she would sleep on the couch or she would sleep in another room or vice versa. And so it was like really bad. I said, I slept in the bedroom that night, and she went and slept on the couch. I said, "Listen to me." I said, "Do not come in this room tonight." I said, "You stay out here. I'm going to stay in here. Let's stay apart." And she's like, "Okay." Go to sleep. 3:30, 4 in the morning, the door cracks open. And I just happened to like open up one eye, and she's just standing in the doorway with a blank look on her face, not saying nothing, just looking at me. Like she wasn't even in her body. She wasn't there. Whatever was with her was there, but she wasn't there. So told her, "Get the fuck out of here." And so I said, "Close the door." And so she closes the door, and I just sat there and I was like, she done let something in there. And sure enough, I started getting like a shortness of breath, like a sense of anxiety and fear, like a cold feeling came over me. And I knew she had let whatever it is into the room. So I get up and I walk past her in the living room. I'm just looking at her, she's acting like she's asleep. Go into the other room, and I close the door. And something in me knew that she was going to come in the room. And I said, "Do not fall asleep." So sure enough, she just cracks the door just a little bit, like this, peeks in. I just see her face and then closes the door quick. Now, anybody else in their right mind probably would have got up and ran. And I don't know in hindsight why I didn't run or get out of there right then. So anyway, I tried not to fall asleep for as long as I could, and finally dozed off. And as soon as I dozed off, something jumped on me. Something, it was an energy. and it like put its elbow on my neck and it was just choking me. It was trying to kill me and it was strong. And because of my weakened state from her putting all those holes, I wasn't as strong as I normally am. So I'm trying to wrestle it off me. And it went on for a long time. Like it really was trying to kill me. It was an energy on me. And so finally I wrestled with it and I punched it as hard as I could. And I just felt like an energy lift up off me like this. And I just sat up in the bed and I'm like, holy shit. Holy shit, I can't believe this just happened. It was the first thing I've ever had dealt with like spirituality on the bad side, you know. And so I'm sitting there and and I'm like at the point, I don't know why I wasn't scared. But like I wasn't like you think you get attacked by something, you would be scared. I was not scared. And I to this day, I don't know, maybe it's something I've done before, or it was just like it was like a test or something, but I don't know why I wasn't scared. And so 5 minutes, not even like 4 minutes later, 3 or 4 minutes later, she comes running in the room, screaming, frantic. She's like, "We got to get out of here." She's like, "Something just attacked me. Something just was trying to take my place, trying to kill me. There's something in this house. We got to go stay at the hotel." And I just closed the door on her. I said, "Get out of here." And I just didn't talk to her, you know. And it's like we woke up the next day and we just like, it's like I knew that there was something with her from that day on. Like I was undeniable, you know. And it's like, I still don't like, it's like, because there's something in me that wanted to help her or try to save her because I knew she didn't have no. If I didn't save her from whatever's attacking her or trying, she's gone. She would be going to the other side, and there was nothing saving her. So in a way, it was like a lesson. It was like like it's what my girlfriend says is angel school. She said it's angel school. Like you're learning these lessons, and these people are here to teach you these lessons. And so I think she was here to teach me like this lesson. It's like to have love and hold space for someone, even though they hurt you. Forgive them for they not know what they do. Try to bring them into the light so that you can heal that darkness in them. And it's something in me, like the teacher or the preacher in me, the healer in me wanted to help her. And I did everything I could to try to help her and bring her out. And also I had love for her too. We were together and you with someone you have feelings for them too. And you don't want to like leave people behind. But it just at some point it came to the point where she was hindering my ascension. We wasn't evenly yoked. She was hindering my growth. I'm trying to elevate, and it's like somebody's holding you down with the weight because we're not here, you know? It's like she's in seventh grade and I'm, a freshman in college, and it's just, you got to realize when you're not evenly yoked with people and that they're going to slow your ascension down, you know? So back to the story. So there would be a series of more events where she would try, in my dreams, I would feel like I was paralyzed and I couldn't stop. And one dream I was being led to this pit, and I could see myself, and I'm trying to everything I can do to stop myself from going to that pit. And the last minute, once again, my soul jumped in and said, "No," and I snapped out of it. And there was another time I was being led down a cave, and the farther I got in, it was cold, it was dark, and I was just feeling like a cold energy, and it was like a pocket door slammed in front of me and closed me off and said, "No." And it's like she was just kept trying to tempt me and trying to get this thing to attack me. But my spirit was strong. I began shielding myself, putting a big golden shield around myself. And even that wasn't strong enough to fend her off because whatever's with her is powerful. I mean, it is powerful. It is old and it is powerful and it is evil. Like you could feel the darkness in it. And so we went on, we kept going down the road. And then it got so bad when she attacked me. I I wished something bad on her. I said, you know what? I wish you just kill her. I was like, I wish you just. It had gotten so bad, I just couldn't take it no more, and it was like I couldn't get away. And that very day, she got hit by a Mack truck. Right? Who gets hit by a Mack truck and lives? Right? A Mack truck. The very day I wished that on her. And so she says to me, she's like, "You wish the ill will on me, did you?" And of course, I said no, but she's like, "You wish the ill will on me." And sure enough, it was fact that she got hit by the truck that same morning I wished that on. And so then after that, it became like a spiritual battle. Like the attacks started getting worse. And it's like she also always had she said things to me like, if I was a man, I'd like to be like you. Like always an envious, like she always was like always like a competition type of thing. Like she'll say stuff, oh, you think you're all that because you're spiritual, or And she was, in hindsight, she was very narcissistic and ego driven. She was definitely a narcissist. And I believe that any spiritual awakening, that is a prerequisite that you deal with narcissism some way along the line. You have to deal with the narcissist to see, to hear. I just think it's part of the process. I don't know. You guys can comment in the below and see if you think it resonates for you. So anyway, so we kept going down the road, and it came to where I started losing weight. It became detrimental to me to even be like, I couldn't even be around her, and a limited time. Like, it was like we were living in the house, but we weren't together. But I couldn't really get out, and I just felt like my abundance was shrinking. Everything that I used to be able to manifest like this was drying up. Everything, and my business wasn't doing well. Nothing seemed to work, and so I went to end up going to see a psychic, and she told me that she's put like a spell, like an evil eye on you. She's trying to block your road so you have no way out. She's cutting your hands off so you can't work. She's blocking your manifestation. She's blocking your spirituality, and she's doing all these things to stop you. And she's like, she's trying to bring you to that side. And she's like, you are destined to do great things. You are of the light, and you're going to teach many people these amazing things. And she's like, imagine if whatever she's trying to do attached to you, and you're going to go do this work. Now you would be doing their work. And I sat there with that, and I said, wow, you know, that could be the path that I took if I wasn't aware and I wasn't awakened enough to feel these energetic and this vampire attacking me, you know? And it just kept going on and progressively got worse. And it got to the point where I had nowhere to go. So I ended up having to go back to my ex-girlfriend's house. I couldn't find, it was apartments were scarce. And I called her. I was like, I got nowhere else to go. I got to come stay with you. And I got out of that house, had my sons come help me pack up, and I got out of there. And finally unpacked everything, and I sat at her dining room table, and I just started crying, right? Like, when I look back, all of the mental and spiritual, the physical, I was in pain. My body was aching all the time, pain that I went through. I just started crying. I haven't cried in years. I just started crying, like bawling, crying in front of her. And I was just like, it really just, I was like a shadow of myself. My blood pressure, I felt like I was having a heart attack. Like, if I had stayed there one more night, I definitely would have been dead. And I share this story to you because I want you people to know the signs, like, that you're under spiritual attack. Like, narcissists tend to be energy vampires. They can drain you. Even just talking to you, they can drain you. Like this, they'll talk to you about numbing things and they're just taking your time, using you for your time. They try to drain your energy in every way possible. And what it is they hate your light. They hate your light because they cannot make light. And that's why they feel they need to steal yours, because they cannot make light. And that and everybody can make light. It's just they do not want to put the effort in, the meditation, the work that it takes to evolve, to be of the light, right? And so the people who are of the light, I tell you this story because you need to protect yourself. If you feel people, you feel that tingling feeling, or you feel like you're mentally in a fog, only when you're around that person you feel that way. Most likely you're being psychically attacked. It'll happen to you in your sleep. You won't be able to sleep. All of a sudden, you have all these racing thoughts, and you just, well, why am I thinking? Why can't I sleep? It's because they're trying to make you tired. See, if you, it's called sleep deprivation. If they keep you tired all the time, you can't think, you can't spiritually grow because you're just always in a state of confusion. And you just need to look out for the signs. And so many of us that are awakened, we're light workers, empaths, healers, and so many of us, we have so much great work to do, but these beings that are walking with us, and usually it's someone close to us, trying to stop us. They're trying to hinder our growth. And it's, you have to know that you have a power that is great within you. You have a purpose here on this earth. It's not just to work and raise kids and pay bills. Like, you got a divine purpose, and only the enlightened ones know they're being called. That's why they're awakening. So many people are awakening daily, and they have nowhere to go to get the information. Like, everybody gets to the YouTube and gets the channel, but it's just like no one really has like someone who has been through this stuff, like almost like an old wise man, who has knowledge, who has, tools to help them along their journey. And that's what I've been trying to put together here is just like I've compiled scriptures and books and stuff of ancient, just to really, you really have to be knowledgeable because pretty much everything that you've been taught is a lie about religion, about Jesus, about all these different religions is a lie. And that people are awakened that this is not the truth. And so when I sought my journey to find out the truth, I was trying to go back as far as I could go. And I went back to like Egyptian times where I found out about Thoth and Hermeticism, and the ancient is the oldest, even the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest Bible. And people need to really get to the root because this stuff predates Christ by thousands of years. And it's like the true religion. And so when I did my search, I found it was they were trying to. I was trying to find the truth, and that's what they say. People who seek the truth, right? It's a secret. It's a secret. They don't want you to know this hidden philosophy. It's a secret, and it only was passed down from student from master to student. Only those who were enlightened, who would do good with it, who would do good with this knowledge. Those are the only people who would get this knowledge. Because, and not that there wasn't bad people who got it, and the bad people who got it, you could see around you today. The Illuminati, the Freemasons, they're all using the same knowledge that they were supposed to be invented to good to help people for their evil will and gain. So I think there's many of us out here who are trying to do the right thing, and this is what my channel is going to be about. If you guys really enjoyed this message, please hit the like button. It's going to be many more messages coming. And with that, I'm tapping out.